Good afternoon, teachers and my dear friends. Today, in this webinar, I am glad to welcome Akhilesh Agarwal sir to Lotus Valley International School. Akhilesh sir has more than 25 years of experience in the IT industry, where about 15 years were dedicated to educational software, learning management systems, assessment management, and other software applications for educational institutes. He also started the program I Love Science to design and conduct science workshops in schools in 2015. These workshops are designed to ensure that children understand the scientific concept by hands-on activities and relate science topic with everyday life. I Love Science kits and workshops have been used by many prestigious schools and NGOs. We have always enjoyed using these science kits, which are helpful in understanding textbook concepts with hands-on experiments. We are pleased.
Yeah, thank you, Gauri. Thank you, Vibhuti ma'am and Nirja ma'am. I'm very happy to be here, and I always enjoy interacting with students. In today's session, as you said, the topic is about STEM and innovation from classroom to real life, right? So I will try to make the talk very enjoyable. I will try that, and I hope all the students will also, enjoy the talk. All of you are science students. You have been studying science, from class 2 or class 3 or so. But if you look at science, what is science? What is STEM? Then sometimes you will get to know very complex looking topics or subjects, right? So as you see here, science, technology, physics, chemistry, biology, computers, business, microprocessors, all these things will come, right? So not everybody, but many students may find, these things very complex or very difficult. And if you find it very complex or difficult, then you will say, oh, this is very boring, right? Now, we have to see that how do we see these things as interesting? Because the thing is that if they are interesting, then even though, see, the science and engineering in higher classes will be difficult, but if you take interest in that, they will not remain difficult. They will become easy and interesting. Okay, so that is what is the purpose that I want to convey. And for that, you have to see science and technology and engineering and maths in everyday life, right? So don't see that science is something that I have to study in classroom and then, maybe mug up some formulas and then you're going to do the exam and then I'll get good marks. That will not be good. You will never enjoy science. So, but if you look at science in everyday life. So for example, let me just give you some simple examples of that. What do I mean by everyday life, right? So for example, if two children are playing with a ball in the park, okay, or wherever, okay, now do you see science in that? If you are a science student, you will see science in that, because if you are throwing the ball, then how hard did you hit on it? At what angle did you hit on it? How far did it go? Okay, a lot of this can be simple observation and practice, but if you look at the science of this simple thing of two children playing, then you will be able to use that science to do more complex and more technologically advanced things in future, okay, if you choose to go in that direction, right? So again, look at one or two more examples. Simple things like gardening, right? Now, if you talk to a gardener, for example, right, he will tell you things which you actually study in science books, and he may have actually never gone to a school or never got educated. That, okay, what seeds need what kind of temperature, how much water should you put, what is the space at which you should put those seeds so that they can grow properly, okay, in what season you should do them. In fact, some of the seeds actually need processing. For example, I still remember from my childhood, we had a little gardener in our house and he was sowing dhania, right? All of you have dhania in the house, right? Dhania is in form of seeds, right? If you put those seeds directly in soil, they will take very long to grow. But he told us a trick that you have to break the seeds slightly so that the germ inside the seed is not broken, but it's actually broken into half. So he used a shoe to break those seeds and then sowed them. And then in next few days, the seeds grew up. I mean, they germinated and they became plants. Now this can be a simple experience. It can be a simple observation, but you have to understand the science behind it. Similarly, cooking. Okay, I'm purposely giving those examples where people do not think that there is science in those things. So cooking, I mean, you ask your mother or grandmother or anybody, and they will tell you the right mechanism to do the cooking. At what should you put first when you are making a vegetable or any dish or whatever, and what should you put later, because something cooks faster, something cooks slower, something needs higher flame, something needs lower flame. All this is science, but people can look at it as experience only, right? But as science students, if you look at them as science and then find more reasons about it, then they will become interesting, and then you will appreciate these things more. One more thing I will discuss with you, that gravity. All of us learn about gravity, right? So we know that Newton discovered gravity, and there was a story that the apple fell on his head, and he thought, okay, why did it fall on my head? Now you talk to any person who's completely uneducated. He may have never gone to school. And if you tell him that, okay, I have this thing in my hand, if I leave it, what will happen? He will say it will come down, right? So that is simple observation. But how do you convert the simple observation into scientific concepts is if you have a scientific temperament, and then you will start analyzing things, all right? So then they will become interesting, and you will not find these boring or whatever, all right? Now, so next I want to take a little bit about toys, because all the children are interested in toys. And then let's see if those toys also have science. Every toy that you play with will have some science in it. You can decide to ignore it or appreciate it. That is up to you. All right. So let me take a few things, and I will use very simple toys. Okay. And some of these actually I have been using in the science kits of I Love Science. So some of the even class 3rd, 4th students are enjoying these. So what do I have here? I have a simple wooden stick. Okay. I have a smaller toothpick, and I have an eraser in this. All right. Now you see, so you can see the toy clearly, right, on your screen. Correct. Now, if I just hang it here in my finger, and then I start spinning my finger, then it is hanging onto my finger like a Sudarshan Chakra. It does not fall down, though it is not tied to my finger, right? So let me just switch off the presentation so that you will be able to see it clearly. Just a second. Okay, now it will be clear. Okay. So now you see that this is the little toy, and I can actually play it like this. So now what is it? It's a very nice and very simple toy. Okay. But what is the science in this? Now the science in this has so many things, and I will tell you in just one minute. Number one, it is rotating, so it has a rotational energy. Okay. It has centripetal force, or the easier way to understand is centrifugal force. So all of you may have played with a merry-go-round in your school playground. Now, if the merry-go-round is going very fast, you will feel a force that as if you are being thrown out of the circular motion of the merry-go-round, right? Now, that is the force which is keeping it stable, right? But it is being tied to my finger, though there is no thread. There is no thread, but it does not fall down. So it's a very simple toy. Children enjoy it a lot. And I told you, how do you make it? Just one wooden stick here, one toothpick here, and one eraser here. And the toy tells you so many scientific concepts. Okay? Let's do one or two more toys. I'm just doing this so that I get your interest in what I'm talking about. All right? And I have a little toy, which is again part of our science kits, which is called energy toys. All right. Now let's see what this toy can do. So it's a simple thing, as you can see here. Okay. 2 cardboards, 3 pencils, 1 rubber band. Okay. And this nut bolt hanging from this. Right. Now, Now, if I roll this toy here on my table, okay, let's see if you see some. Let me just bring the camera far away so that you can see the whole movement. All right. And if I roll it like this, after some time, it will automatically come back. Now, this is the same concept of potential and kinetic energy that you study in science, that when I'm actually rolling it, I gave it kinetic energy, okay? And that kinetic energy winds the rubber band that is there in this, and it brings it back with the energy, right? So it's again, very simple toy to make, but it teaches you so much science about energy conservation, about how to convert potential to kinetic energy, and how to use that in form of a little toy, right? So this is the toy like that. Okay. Quickly, I will do one or two different toys in different concepts. Okay. So now this one is about chemistry. So what do I have here in this little bottle? I have some water. It is colored water, no chemical right now, and some oil, right? And now I'm going to use tablet is the same thing as ENO. Okay, it is called Gasofast. You can use any brand purpose, and it is in the tablet form. All right. So I will take a small piece, and all of you have studied chemistry. Last year in class 7th, you had a called acids and bases, right? Now last year, all of you did not use the science kits from I Love Science because of the pandemic problem. But let's see if you can enjoy this little toy. Okay. So now you can see it clearly, colored water below and oil here. Now, before the chemical reaction begins, understand the physics also. The water and oil are separated naturally, right? Now, one is density, that whatever is on top, which is oil here, is lighter and water is here. Then the chemistry, because they have a different molecular structure, that water is a polarized molecular structure, but oil is not. They don't mix easily. If I shake the bottle, you would see that they are mixing, but actually they will separate automatically after some time. And now let's see the chemical reaction. I am putting this tablet, which is actually citric acid and baking soda, if you look at the components. All right. So let's see if I put it inside, then what happens. And let me just switch on my mobile torch light so that it will look even beautiful to you. Okay. So you will see that it becomes a lava lamp now. So you will have lava flowing inside the this little bottle. It's a simple little toy. Every child can make it at home. Okay. And it teaches us so much of physics, so much of chemistry. Right. Now what is happening here? The reaction is happening, citric acid and baking soda, which releases carbon dioxide. Now another very popular toy with which I am sure most of your parents would have bought for you is something like this, right? Mechanics, right? It's a very popular toy, and all the parents, want to buy this similar toy for their children. Now it is a toy, but it is so much of science. I mean, you can actually make whatever you want to from those toys, but it teaches you a lot of engineering. I mean, I think last month all of you have used the science kit that you got from I Love Science, which was this hydraulic crane, right? All of you have used that already. Now, very simple thing, not nothing very complex, but it teaches you about Pascal's law. It teaches you about the crane concepts. It teaches you about levers, right? So much of engineering, lot of fun. So I'm telling you all this so that I want to bring in the message that science, don't look at science as complex or boring or difficult. Enjoy science. Now, once you enjoy science, you will be able to appreciate a lot of new things and look at science in everyday life. Okay. Now, let's move on to our real topic, which is innovation. Okay. So what I want to do before I move into innovation, I want to do a very simple survey with you. Okay. So I'm going to give you a link in chat. Just give me a second. And you click on that link and then answer the question. The question is, name any innovative idea or product that you find very useful. All right. Very simple. I'm not testing you. I'm just looking at the ideas. How do you look at things? All right. So all of you have the link in the chat. Just click on it. Okay. And I will just hold for a pause for 1 minute. I want all of you to start answering. Just click on this link. The link will open. The question, as I told you, is that what are the innovative ideas that you find very useful? All right. So just answer whatever comes to your mind. We have 200 students, and I should get all the answers quickly, right? Okay. So now let me bring you the what answers everybody has given. All right. So all of you see, whatever you are answering, what is there? People think smartphones, electricity, technology, computers, cars, okay? Stethoscope, smartphone, very interesting answers. And as more students are answering this, this word cloud is changing, right? So the bigger words means more students have given that answer. Electricity, computer, refrigerator, mobile phone, right? So, and naturally you will see that what you are answering here, most of these are technology products, right? They are technology products. But I want to tell you one more thing. Though the topic is STEM, which is science related, that innovation is not limited to science and technology, right? Innovation can be in non-technology also, but that we will do some other time. All right. So now I want to bring a story to you, and how does the innovation happen and how does it change our lives, right? So what you see on the left on the screen is a TV which was there when I was a child of your age, all right? And you see, and some of you may have seen those antennas maybe, but now they don't exist. I mean, I don't see them anymore, but maybe in some places you may have still seen them, okay? And the TV used to be black and white, of course. And then we used to have maybe 1 or 2 channels at that time, not more than that, okay? Now today, what do we have? What do you see on the right? You have a dish TV antenna, which actually is getting signals from satellite, okay? And you have a color TV, and you are able to get hundreds of channels, okay? I don't know, maybe 200, 300 or more channels, depending on what do you use, right? Now, is it a big invention? Lot of innovation? Definitely yes, right? But let's see the story that how did it happen? Because people did a lot of innovation. So let me look at the old this thing. There was Newton about 350 years back. I mean, then the story that the apple fell on his head, and then he said, okay, is this gravity? Okay, it is gravity. But relating that gravity which made the apple fall on his head to the same thing, that it is the same gravity which is pulling the moon, and then the moon does not fly away from the earth. Okay, now that was his philosophy, which is true. And using that concept, okay, what happened? Scientists made satellites. So once you realize that the same gravity is pulling the apple down and it's pulling the moon towards Earth, then today you have satellite communication. And in that satellite communication, you are able to get TV signals from all over the world also. Now, this was not possible when old antennas were there. So building satellites is a complex technology, complex engineering, that is true. But the idea that because we have a satellite which is above the earth, now we can use that satellite to get signals from places which are so much far away that earth comes in between. So you see that here earth is in between, direct signal cannot come here. So we are using satellite from there. Okay. Now, another example can be things like your GPS concept. Again, it uses satellite. And if you go to a new city, you don't know the road, how to go, then the GPS tells you that where you are, because it is receiving signals from different satellites. And then depending on the timing of those signals, that mobile phone can calculate that what is your latitude and longitude on earth. And then it knows which road you are standing on. And then it tells you, okay, you should go from this road. Now, this was a lot of innovation. So innovation is beyond science and technology. Innovation is thinking that what can you do with this science and technology that you have. So gravity is there, gravity is controlling the moon, but we can make our own satellite and then send it. That is an engineering innovation. But let's use that satellite for communication so that we can receive signal from thousands of miles apart, which was not possible earlier, is also an innovation. Okay. I think 1 or 2 more minutes that I will take, and then I want to allow students to have some more discussion. So beyond this, I want that all the students should be more imaginative. Now, let's look at it. You are studying science in classroom. You are observing the real effect in the real life. Okay. But to be able to do innovation, you have to imagine things, right? You have to imagine that, oh, if that can happen like that, then that will be very nice. Because what is innovation? Innovation is things that make our life or tasks easier or better or simple or more productive, right? So those things are innovation. Now, somebody may be good at science, but if you cannot imagine new things, then what innovation will you do, right? So that is why be imaginative. Okay? Now, I have been saying science is important and all that, but I want to clarify one thing. Not every child has to become a scientist, right? The world needs much more than scientists and engineers and doctors. We also need sports people. We also need musicians. We also need chefs. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is that if you appreciate science, then you will find that even if you want to become a sportsman in future, okay, a sportsman or a sportswoman in future, you will see science in that sports, and you will be able to do better if you are able to handle that science and then see how do I do better in this. You must have seen that these days when cricket matches happen, there is so much of technology. They record, okay, the bowler came and then he threw the ball at that angle and that spin and that length, and that is when it was better. Now, if the sports person can understand that science better, then he or she can be a better bowler or a better batsman or whatever. So even whatever field you choose, okay, it will be very important to understand the science. Otherwise, you may have sports as a passion, but if you do not understand the science and do not take the benefit of science, then you may not be able to excel in that particular field. All right. So understand science, and when your science teachers are teaching you, maybe question. So I'm making it difficult for all your science teachers right now by saying, when your science teacher teaches you anything, question that what is the real life use of this science that you are teaching us, right? So do that and enjoy science. That is all I have. So before I end, I want to do a little more, one more survey, very quick survey with you, okay? And this time the question is, because I want you to be imaginative, name a new innovation or invention that you think will happen in near future. All right. So let me just give you the link for that. And then I want all of you to answer that. So, okay, I'm giving you the link for the new survey, and you have to answer that quickly. So I will just take 30 seconds and then we will come to questions. Okay. So now I want you to be imaginative. Use your imagination and then tell me that what are the future innovations that you think will happen. Very nice. So let me share this with everybody. Very nice ideas are coming. Okay. So let me just share. Yeah, everybody can see. Now this is what you are replying. Flying cars, robots. Yeah, so flying cars is in the sci-fi movies, we have always seen and got fascinated by flying cars, right? Now, I'm sure they will happen. In fact, some time back, maybe a month back, I already saw a little video that at concept level, it is happening, okay? Teleportation, very interesting. Robots, electric cars have already happened. Self-driven cars, okay? So space travel is already happening, okay? So something is already happening in the world, but imagine what will happen if you have imagination and if you have scientific knowledge. You will be able to do very important innovation and inventions in future. All right. So that is what I will stop now. And Vibhuti ma'am, we can have some question answer session now.
Yes, children, sir has given you this opportunity. So those who want to ask questions can raise hands or put that question in the chat. So if you raise hand, we can one by one give you turn to unmute and ask questions. Any doubt or not even doubt, you want to share your idea with sir?
Yeah, anything that you want. Okay, yeah, so Abhiraj has raised hand. Yeah, Abhiraj, please unmute.
In old days, what technology was used to run televisions?
Run televisions.
Yes, ma'am. Sir.
Yeah. So no, so television transmission was happening from towers. Okay. So for example, in Delhi, there is a large tower in West Delhi which used to transmit signals. Okay. And the signal used to travel straight line from that tower to our house, and then we will have antenna in that direction. But that signal cannot travel to our house if we are 200 kilometers away, 500 kilometers away, because then the curvature of earth will come in between, right? So that is why those towers had to be very tall so that they could send the signal very far away, right? But now that curvature of earth is not a problem, because using satellites, it can come from the satellite also, right? So that is how it used to be. All right, Sanchit Puri. Sanchit Puri, please, you can unmute.
Good afternoon, sir. I just wanted to ask the tower that Newton made, which was then closed down after some time, could it be an innovation?
The tower that Newton made. No, Newton did not make any tower in my. What is the question?
He made a machine which I think could generate electricity, but since it was very expensive, so it was closed down.
No, I think you are confused. Newton did not do anything to do with electricity. Electricity was done much later. In Newton's time, there was no electricity. Okay, the electricity started with Volta, who created the voltaic cell, and then the electricity concept started from that. Okay, so maybe you have to read a little more. Maybe there is some confusion.
Yes, sir. Sir, in the chat they are saying, ma'am, sir, the
Tesla coil.
The Tesla tower. So Tesla.
Oh, Tesla. So
coil.
it was Tesla. It was not Newton. It was Tesla. Right. Okay. Yeah. So Tesla created the Tesla coil, which generates very high voltage. That is there. Okay. Yeah. So then.
So sir, is it a innovation?
Yeah, it is. So you see, innovation. So one is you know that. Okay. So how does Tesla coil work? I will not go into the detail. So it is almost like a transformer that you convert lower voltage into a higher voltage, right? So that concept is there, but how can you use that for your purpose? That is innovation. So using the science knowledge which exists to a new purpose, for a new product, for a new idea, is innovation. But when you make a device, then we call it an invention. So there is a slight difference between them, right? Okay, quickly, maybe we'll take a few more. Jyoti Arora. Yeah, Anya?
Sir, it's Varun Arora. Yes, sir. Sir, doubt is that, can you please explain the centrifugal force? And sir, what causes that force? I mean, anything should push, right? It should be someone.
Yeah, okay. So centrifugal force is actually called an apparent force. It's not a real force. So what is happening when I am turning this whole thing, then or just imagine you are on a merry-go-round, then you are actually trying to go in a straight line because of the inertia. You know about inertia, right? That if you are running, your body will keep running. So your body is trying to go in a straight line, but the circular motion is trying to put you in the circle. Okay, so you feel a force that you are trying to go out. That is centrifugal force. All the water pumps work on this concept. Okay, they are called centrifugal pumps, right? But actually, it is being pulled inside, because if we don't pull it inside, then it will fly away. So there is a slight confusion, or it's slightly tricky to discuss the difference between centrifugal and centripetal force. Okay, so you can do a little more on that. Okay, Neil Arora.
Yeah, sir. Good afternoon, sir. So I had a question that, sir, according to you, what are the greatest technological achievements in the field?
No, I see all of you have already given those answers, right? Technological achievements. I mean, whether it is TV or a computer or a mobile phone, I mean, these are great technological achievements. I mean, the fact that we are able to, go in a rocket and reach the moon is a great technological achievement. So all these things are great technological achievement. There is no, one thing is bigger or smaller. Okay. So people can have different views on which is greater or not greater, but all these things are great. And if you look at things which have happened in last 24, I mean, you know that a simple wheel and axle, you study about wheel and axle in simple machines, right? Now imagine, I don't know, maybe how many, 100,000 years or whenever the wheel and axle was invented. At that time, that must have been a very great invention, that somebody created a simple wheel, and then using those wheels, you can carry heavy things, which was very difficult to do earlier. Okay, I mean, earlier times when the large structures were made, you will read in the South India, a lot of temples were made with heavy stones. How did they carry those heavy stones so high? Because they used simple wooden sticks, and then they rolled stones on top of that, which was the concept of wheel. So anything can be a great invention depending on what is the current knowledge of science that you have. All right. Okay. So maybe one or two more questions. I don't know, Vibhuti ma'am, I mean, do we have to stop at 12:40, or we can do 5 minutes more? Whichever.
We'll take a few more questions, two, 3 questions more.
I think Hriday, we can have a question from Hriday and then Riddhi. Maybe 2 more questions and then we can just wind up. Yes,
Yeah,
Hriday.
So do you think, sir, will the humankind will ever be able to create a Dyson sphere or a stellar engine?
Create what? Sorry?
Sir, a swarm of satellites that orbit the sun, harnessing most of the energy that is produced by it. The Dyson sphere. Sir, a type 2 civilization on the Kashtav scale.
Yeah. So see, the thing is, these are the imaginations that we have, that currently the satellites we are doing are able to orbit Earth. Can we have satellites which are orbiting sun? So if you have imagination like that, you should not have a doubt that after some time, when the technology improves, it will be possible, right? Now, there are doubts on a few things. For example, time machine is a concept on which there are scientific doubts, whether it will ever be possible to make a time machine or not. Okay, but most of the concepts or design thinking or imagination that we have, if technologically that is possible, but today's technology does not allow that to happen, I'm sure it will
So
happen.
time travel, so the space station, so the International Space Station, it travels at a speed which allows it to time travel 0.002 milliseconds every year.
Okay, yeah, so that is imperceptible. I mean, yeah, so it is moving at a very high speed. I think, I don't know exactly, maybe it takes maybe some 15 rounds of Earth every whatever. So it is moving at a very high speed. So it is time travel, but it is at such a minute level that observing that time travel is very difficult, because when the person comes back from space, maybe he has aged less. But if you come back after 1 year and then you have aged 11 months and 29 days, will it make a difference? It is very difficult to measure right now, but maybe in future it will be. Right? Okay. Riddhi?
Last question from Riddhi. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So my question was, if we have a bottle and it is filled by 1 foot and the other we have it's filled 3 foot. So if we fill the water from 1 foot, then the sound produced it would be higher compared to the one which is filled 3 foot. So why is the density related to the amount of sound that is produced in a fluid?
No. So I'm just trying to visualize the question that you said. See, you must have seen those water instruments where they fill glasses with different depths of water, right? Yeah. And then you put them, Jal Tarang. Correct.
Jal Tarang.
So then the depending on the empty glass, the length of the glass above the water, that glass is vibrating when you hit it with a stick. So it is not really the density of water, but it is that what part of the glass is vibrating, and depending on that length or the height of that much glass, its frequency will be different. I mean, it's like when you play a flute, how are you changing the sound? You are moving your fingers on those holes, and the length of air column is changing inside. Changing in a guitar, you move your hand on the guitar string, the length changes. So you are changing the sound by changing the length of air column or string or the glass or whatever, or a bottle. Okay, so that is how. So that is in the sound, you can study all those things. Okay. In fact, I just want to tell you that for class 8th, you will get your new science kits next month, and one of them is sound. So you will do some of these experiments that we are talking just now. Okay. Yeah, ma'am.
Can I ask just one question?
Who is
Okay,
that?
this is the last one, okay?
Ma'am, I also had a scientific doubt.
Okay.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay, so Shiana, yeah, Shiana, okay, go on.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am. Sir, my name is Shaina. So I just asking that if we are saying that the International Space Station moves so fast that it can cause differences in time. So if we move at the speed of light, we may be able to go to the past, and if we extend that speed, we may be able to go to the future. Isn't that
no. So as per the science theory, that you are right. If we are moving at a speed which is near the light speed, then the time stops. That is the concept, right? So then by that so if you look at, in fact, there is a book which I had which says impossible inventions for future. It says that it will be possible to go in the past, actually look at the past and not go in the past. Okay. So let me just take a minute to say what does it mean. I mean, a few years back, you saw the image of a black hole which was some 55 million light years away, right? What does that mean? That black hole, the picture that we see today, whatever is happening there happened 55 years earlier, right? Now we are looking at it today. So that is almost like a time machine. You are looking at something which is not happening right now. You are looking at something which happened many, many years back, right? So that is the concept on which should be possible. But as per the current science that we understand, going into the future, there are doubts. But we don't know. Science is evolving every day. So I should not say that whether it will be or will not be possible. Maybe some new science will come which we do not understand today. A lot of things that we have today were not considered possible maybe 10, 20 or 50 years back, right? So we have to...
some scientists do say that if the speed of light is reached, we may be able to make a lot of inventions.
That is right. But today, I mean, we are not even like 0.001% of speed of light. We cannot move at that speed.
Sir, we are only above the speed of sound, and still, but when we exceed the speed of sound, we can't hear it. We can only hear the back. So that's why, if the speed of light is reached, we may be able to see what happened in the past, as the light is going to go in the past, same as the sound.
Yeah. So that is what. So we can. So that's what I'm saying. As per the current science concepts, time machines will make it possible to go in the past, but whether you can come back from the past, that means coming from there to the future, currently there is no science for that. Okay, but I should not say it will not happen. Maybe it will happen in future.
Future can't be seen. We change.
Let's move to next question.
Oh, sir, can I ask the next question?
So I think ma'am has to decide who wants to ask.
Kriti.
Sir, can I please ask Sir
I think children can, Vibhuti ma'am, maybe we can just share one of the, email ID where we can just solve all these queries, Because I have to stick to the timings because it's already 12:46, and Sir has promised us that he will be with us till 12:45. Already we have exceeded that. We never knew that there could be so many queries. This is really surprising. We have our young scientist, the budding scientist of Lotus Valley.
Ma'am, this question
Ma'am, I
is
had
really
a
unique.
scientific doubt, ma'am, which my parents weren't able to explain it to me.
So, beta,
I'm sure. No. Okay. So, see, the thing is, in a few more minutes, we will not be able to solve all your doubts. Okay. And as I said, if you enjoy science, you will find out answers for many, many new things. Okay. I'm just giving the I Love Science YouTube channel again here. I'm sure some of you have already visited, and you will see a lot of things which I have explained. In fact, last year I had created some 40-50 videos on small science concepts which you can do from this. So all of you can do this and then enjoy. And maybe ma'am will give me another opportunity to talk to you again, and then we will have longer discussion with all of you. I really enjoy this. Okay?
Yes, sir. We definitely want to have you back so that you can answer to all these questions, and children will not regret that my turn did not come and I could not answer. Having said so, I can see Anya Mukhi Reddy. She needs to say something. Yes, Anya, unmute.
Yes, ma'am. Respected Akhilesh Agarwal sir, teachers, and my dear friends, a very good afternoon to you all. On behalf of Lotus Valley International School, it gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks to our chief guest, Akhilesh Agarwal sir, who spared time from his busy schedule to grace the occasion and enlighten students on STEM and innovation from classroom to real life. It has been a great learning experience to hear Akhilesh sir talk about practical examples with a wide range of resources, tools, and strategies for activities that enhance STEM in real life. Students have come to know of interesting inquiry based and other innovative approaches to science and maths education. The session has indeed been enriching and enlightening. It has given us a valuable perspective on how STEM intersects all aspects of life and work. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I equally enjoyed this.
Yes, sir. Vijaya ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Anya. Sir, as usual, your sessions have been very interesting. It was very interesting and engrossing. And you highlighted that how science and maths can both be fun and interesting. And I'm sure this will help children to do much more than just learn. Thank you, sir. I now request Nirja ma'am to share her thoughts.
I think most of the thoughts have already been shared by, our dear children and our, hardworking teachers. We are, sir, here just because of our hardworking team, the set of teachers we have. And we take pride in that fact. So just a small message for all the children, the budding scientists. I know they are going to take the name of Lotus Valley to a very different pedestal, once I basically love to see these children, reaching those heights, and will definitely do some innovations, which is going to be, we'll be talking about it much later. So my only thing is that if they could design something where our age could stop and we look as young as we are, I would really be very thankful to them. So it was a wonderful session, a lot of takeaways. Thank you very much, Akhilesh sir, for being there. And 3 cheers for all our teachers and for Akhilesh sir. Thank you so much, sir, for being there.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.